In this video, we are going to go through some updates with the 7702 change and how it impacts cash value performance, both on the short term, long term, guaranteed, and non-guaranteed. We're going to look at a lot of numbers in this video. So let's get on into it. The big impact I want to hit on today is upfront cash value and then long-term performance. So if your goal is to open up a whole life insurance policy and maximize the cash value, whether your plan is just to position money, let it grow over time, kind of as a fixed asset, safe, liquid, tax-free, or if your intention is to borrow from it, use it for retirement down the road, maximizing the cash value will give you more capital to do so. So some changes that we have seen with the 7702 update or that exist with the 7702 update with some companies are as follows. PUA rider fees. With some companies, they have stayed the same. If a company had a high PUA fee already, some companies, they've gone up. So one example is Guardian. Guardian has had among the lowest in the industry in respect to PUA fees at 5% for a long time. They've increased that where it is now 10%, and for a long time, you would see Guardian policies break even between years 3 and 4, with about 87 to 88% cash value in the first year. So they had a lot of cash value up front, but then on a projection standpoint, from an illustrative perspective, they did not look as attractive as other carriers over the long haul. With that said, illustrations, you know my thoughts on that. It's an illustration. I like to look at the actual performance, real history over time. But my point to this, and why I want to state the higher PUA fee, which we could see that with a number of companies as they release products that comply with the new 7702 laws, is we do see a bit less cash value up front. Here's what I would expect regardless of the company and product. So different companies and products will have different upfront cash values, long-term cash values, as far as what to look for. If your goal is to get a policy for maximum cash value, first year, cash value between 80 and 95%. Again, that's a big range depending on the product. 80 to 90% is safe, but 80% will sometimes be the highest with some companies if they have a higher PUA fee. So what I really want to know is the premium minimized in order to beef up the cash value, guaranteed and non-guaranteed? And typically you'll see that range. Depends on the company though. And you can always ask us if you'd like us to look at any numbers you have. Break-even point. Between years 5 and 6, could really be between years 4 and 6 with some companies. Time will tell on that respect or in that respect, but that is typically when I can expect to see the break-even point there. Bold that a little bit, much better. Guaranteed cash values break-even point between years 8 and 9. If you have a 1035 exchange, that could be year 7, 6 at best, based on the new guaranteed rates. So with the old guaranteed rates at 4%, we could sometimes get a break-even of year 5, which was extremely attractive between years 5 and 6. Now, with the lower guaranteed rates, it typically falls between years 8 and 9. So that's a trade-off there. Now, the purpose of these lower guarantees, it lowers the reserve requirements for insurance companies, but also that higher PUA fee, which results in less cash value up front. The purpose of that is to enhance the long-term performance or potential that a company can offer to a policyholder. That's really the ultimate play there. They don't take the extra 5% in the PUA fee and put it in their pocket for profits. No, the purpose from a cash value policy perspective is to enhance the long-term IRR. And a lot of companies have been doing that with the 4% guarantee for a while. So what you'll see, what's more favorable, dividend values. What's less favorable, guaranteed values. Now, I also want to touch on this, and this is what this meant, more favorable guaranteed and dividend in this guy, is when we look at strictly 7702 update policies to 7702 update policies, not new versus old, new versus new, is those minimum premium designs have always produced stronger cash values. That's been amplified, which I was a little curious to see how companies were going to play that. But now those minimum premium designs result in even greater cash values, guaranteed and non-guaranteed, than those with higher base premium designs, which is interesting. So we're going to take a look at that last. First, let's look at some designs here and really focus on that PUA rider fee too. So let's pull up an old product compared to a new one. with the same company here. On the left, we've got the old product, 1090 split. Designs are identical here. In the last video, we did touch on the MEC limits. So both of these policies have a $100,000 MEC limit. With the new product, we need less life insurance to obtain the same MEC limit because the guaranteed rate has come down. But here's what I want to touch on. Year one with the old product, what's your cash value? About 88%, 88,747. With the new product, it's about 84%. And the term rider cost is actually less on the new one. So why do I have almost another $5,000 less? Look at your cash value difference on the far right and your IRR. They're both negative, but you're about 5% less on that one. PUA fee. What was the PUA fee on the old one? 5%. What's it on the new one? 10%. So I've got a higher fee and a lower guaranteed rate. These guys right here we're looking at are guaranteed cash values. Break-even point on the old is when? Just about year 5, you've paid in 500, you've got almost 498. Annual IRR isolates what I'm earning year over year, and the average is the average over whatever span of time I'm looking at. Guarantees over here, just about year 8, got 497 where I've paid in 500. So lower guaranteed rate, higher PUA fee, pushes the break-even point out over time. Annual IRR takes a little bit longer to go positive. And that's based on, again, the guarantees and that high PUA fee. So lowest, worst case scenario rate and also a high PUA fee. As time passes, you will see it produce a positive cash value. IRR tops out a little over 2.5%. The average gets close to 1.9%, but not like what it used to be at the 2.7%. That's based on the guarantees. Let's look at the dividends. Actually, let's go back. So if I look at year 30, what's the cash value difference? The old product, based on the guaranteed values, had $225,000 more than the new one. Now when we progress to the new one, based on the old versus new based on the dividends, we'll see a difference here. Old product on the left, dividend rates are identical, both at 5.65%. First year cash value is identical to the guarantees. When's your break even? Year 4, I've paid in 400. I have 405. How about the new one? Year 4, I've paid in 400. I've got 390. Year 5, I've got 502. Your break even point is when your average IRR is in the black, no longer in the red, by the way. But what do you notice here? Look at year 2 with the dividends. And we did touch on this a little bit in the last video. The new product is more dividend sensitive, meaning a lesser guarantee, so more of the growth is based on the company's surplus. But as time passes, same company, same product, what do you notice here? The new one has a greater surplus, meaning a higher dividend, which will result in greater long-term potential. Will it happen? Time will tell. Will still be a fine area to position funds and should produce still between that same net IRR between 3 to 5%. But if we scroll down here, so the trade-off, delayed break-even point, but if I go down to year 30, what do we notice here? You've got about $187,000 more in the new product than what we would have in the old product. So a little bit greater earning potential there. So that's a trade-off to measure there. Now, I did say we'll look at it, so we'll look at it very briefly here. Just a comparison between the old and new, the minimum premium versus the higher base premium. And we'll go through this more thoroughly in future videos. So both the new product, 7702 change, dividend values, 1090 split. This is a different product geared for pure long-term performance. So the break even is a clean year 6 in this example, higher PUA fee. Whereas this guy, 2575 split, $25,000 base, break even is a bit delayed here, year 7 in this example. But as we scroll down, so what we did in this example was max funded for 7 years, 100K per year. Then we dropped the PUA rider in the 25-75 design. And in this design, we continued to pay the base premium of $10,000 plus 15 in PUAs for a total of 25K per year. So that out of pocket, one is 100 for 7, 25K forever. The other, 100 for 7, 25K forever. It is a split study. But as we look at it over time, what do we notice? You started out with almost $60,000 more in cash value. What do we have here as time passes? This is based off the dividends. The guarantees, that 1090 looks even better. But I keep going further and further down all the way to the bottom. And it's not much of a difference considering the amount of money I've paid in. I've got over 10 million in cash value in both of them. But the 1090, more from start to finish. So upfront, the opportunity cost, especially if you're a business owner and you want access to that capital, is huge, it's critical. But in any event, some changes there, mainly in respect to the PUA rider fee, guarantees, and non-guaranteed values. I do hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Hey guys, Steve Parisi here. If you enjoyed the content you just saw, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for future videos. If you'd like more information or to see some custom policies for yourself, feel free to call or email our offices at the contact information below.